Hey there, welcome to Geek Farm. We have a new edition of Book Club, which is happening. Usually we get you all to read a book for the entire month and then get the author on board and we dissect it. Well, this time around, it's very Star Wars themed. And when anything is Star Wars themed, Jedi Alliance is going to completely play trumps here, pick it up, and take over. And that's why I've enlisted the help of my co-host from Jedi Alliance, Mr. Ken Napsok, a.k.a. Master Ken-Obi. Hi, Ken.
Yeah, wait, you're telling me I didn't write this book?
You didn't write this book! You didn't
okay.
write it. Sorry, but you do know a lot about it because you and I were given a copy and we did read it page to page. And we did address this on our last episode of Jedi Alliance, which you guys can find if you search Jedi Alliance on YouTube or if you search it on iTunes. We're on both. You can subscribe to it, rate it, review it. We do appreciate those because iTunes has effed us around quite a bit, so we need all the help we can get. But you and I kind of kept it relatively spoiler-free. We gave our general overview on it with Christian Harloff, but we didn't want to spoil it, so we thought we'd have a nice, safe, contained environment where we can absolutely go hard.
Yeah, go deep.
So,
and this is
also, I think in this
is also my first hangout, so you're taking me into a brave new world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always encourage just a little liquid courage to kick things off.
I brought water. I'm underprepared.
You know what you need to do if you have to.
I'll try.
But Ken and I usually sit side by side on a panel, so this is going to be a little bit weird where we're sort of almost facing each other. Going through what you can expect in our review is that we will talk about the characters in it, the themes that took place, pretty much a start to finish on what you can expect in it. Well, you know this because you've read the book. What we absolutely loved about it, what we may feel that there's room for improvement upon, or what we flat out just didn't like. And the best part about this is we get to discuss it directly with you. As you can see when you're watching this, there is a comment box underneath. Use that because it'll come directly into a feed and we can correspond instantaneously, and we will constantly be checking on that to see what you guys want to say about particular things, and then we'll all rate it together at the end. So Ken, let's kick this off. The premise of Star Wars A New Dawn.
The premise of Star Wars A New Dawn is mining. It's all about mining colonies. Hey, look, this is the overall premise is you got this guy named Kanan Jarrus, who's kind of a bit of a rogue. He's got a little bit of Han Solo in him. He's set up that way. He's also, you get the feel that there's something in his past. Now the book opens with kind of a prologue with a young Jedi in the Jedi Temple back. This would be the prequel times, and he's named Caleb Doom, and he's kind of talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi about the message system at the Jedi thing, and that kind of factors in later. That was really cool.
I was wanting to know your opinion on that because I was reading that going, this is what I want to know about. The fact that kids, you know, you saw the Jedi School only really briefly in, what's the third one called again? Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, yes.
Yeah, so you kind of only really saw that they were doing the Jedi training and that there were a lot of younglings and they were from all different races across the entire galaxy, all fighting towards a common goal of becoming a Jedi. That's pretty freaking cool. And then you've got Caleb who's challenging the system. That's really cool. You have the Master Padawan thing. I would love to have seen that explored. So I think you're right. The setup had me intrigued.
And, you know, it was such a good job. The author, John Jackson Miller, did a great job in that first chapter. I was so excited that I think I was a little let down when that disappeared, and suddenly I'm with this guy named Kanan. Now, at this time, I knew he was the main character, obviously, from pre-hype and press. But he's just kind of hanging out. He's a bit of a ne'er-do-well, and he's working a mining colony. And he works it, and he works it, and he works it. Works it for a while.
So I get, you know, that Caleb and all of the young Jedi, I think with that, it's like he had his whole class, you know. What happened with them? It's like they were never mentioned. We get that they kind of all died somehow, but are there others like Kanan? Or, you know, it could have just had a little bit more. It was like one day in class, 15 years in the future. And it's like, what? That is so open. So is this John Jackson Miller not having enough approval to really write these sort of avenues and stories for other people? Was he just allowed to have this vague start?
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because as you and I are people who put things into the universe creatively to be judged and talked about by other people. So I have sympathy for an author too. I would never slag on things too much. He put a lot of effort into this. I have to wonder how much restrictions he had. So if there's any type of if the story felt a little constrictive, maybe that came from above. I'm sure it was. This is the first of the new canon, which we know is big. Canon, canon, canon. We keep talking about that on Jedi Alliance. Everyone talks about canon, and this is the first one to launch it. So I'm sure he had a very strict guideline. I know he put a lot of his own creativity into it, but I wonder that too because, yeah, look, I don't want to see the other kids, Master Skywalker, sir, lightsaber out. That's one of my favorite scenes of Revenge of the Sith for how dark it was. I don't want to see those kids killed. I know what happened, but I assume Caleb's one of them. And then now here we are, working a mining colony.
I mean, the success of Harry Potter was the fact that they had every single year in school at Hogwarts. I think that then that's like a big part of a lot of sequels and successful stories for young adults. And I have a feeling this is... I don't even actually really know who this is directed at. Is it the kids so that they can get to know their characters of the beloved rebels? No. Is it adults so that they can get a little bit of a head start on the kids? Probably. But it's that kind of thing where it's like, I personally, being a Hogwarts fan, would have loved to have seen a little bit more time at the Jedi Academy. Who were his classmates? If I had a little bit more association with his master, who she seemed pretty kick-ass, or his other classmates, Ben Kenobi as Obi-Wan, as the teacher, like that is the perfect foundation. I just wanted a little bit more with that because when I realized that they'd all died, I would feel something because I knew them.
That's interesting. I didn't think of that approach where you're saying more than just a prologue. You're like, hey, give me a couple chapters.
Give me Caleb.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me Caleb. I mean, I want to, because Caleb seems to be the core of who Kanan is. They're the same person. Kanan's whole existence, he's doing boring jobs. He's making sure he's got no friends. He's got no strings, no ties, because he's trying to bury Caleb. But I want to fight for Caleb, but I can't do that if I don't know who the hell he is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And his story of his master is a master by the name of a Jedi Master Depa Billaba. I think it's spelled like Billaba, Billabab, Bill, but it's a female, and it's actually a character from the prequels. She appears a couple times in the prequels, kind of unnamed in the background. So there's a story there. I like.
Is she the only Twi'lek Jedi? She's like the only female Twi'lek Jedi.
I don't believe she was a Twi'lek. I'll have to look it up there, but she appears in like the arena fight scene, I believe, and might have been on the council in.
Where is a Twi'lek?
You know what she was? She was. There's a picture of her. She actually is on the end of Phantom Menace. You see her very clearly during the Peace Orb scene. She's got kind of like a crystal in her forehead, dark-complected female.
Okay, right. I want to put it out there to everyone who's streaming. Thank you so much for doing this, especially since this was a little bit of a last-minute addition that we decided to talk about the book. And there's so many of you who have read it, which is great. We have had this debate with AT and AT, and I'm kind of sensing another little debate with the Twi'lek, because you and I have both been flitting between both of them because we really don't know if it's a Twi'lek or a Twi'lek. I've been saying Twi'lek.
I say Twi'lek, but I don't say it with any authority. Where I say AT with a lot of authority.
And I'm all AT, baby, and that's always going to be our throwdown. But if you are commenting, or if you're watching, sorry, the forum is completely open. We'd love to get everyone's opinions involved with this as much as possible. Twi'lek. That is the first discussion point that we will address at some stage as well. So I think, yeah, we've kind of just only really dissected that little the prologue of the book. We've seen how it can possibly have been improved. I thought there was just too little. And with any character, the more you know, the more you feel. And if this is a person that you're going to follow through a really boring battle, you want to care for them as much as possible. So we fast forward now to... Sorry, you got excited. Keep going.
So no, I was saying, you know, I kind of wondered, could there have been a fight, a battle? We're used to that in Star Wars that could have started. This started a little bit like Phantom Menace, and I'm not comparing it in that regard. I think the story is a little better than that, but it had that kind of feel where you're like, yeah, Star Wars, there's a group going to a mining colony. Oh, they're working. Like a little bit like Phantom Menace, where you're clear to land. We're like the first lines.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah, adventure. If you guys did watch our mini review on Jedi Alliance, you'll know that Christian Harloff was a part of it, and he was vehemently defending the fact that boring was almost okay, and that the mining aspect of it was necessary. And I think Ken and I both disagree on that. We did need to know about the character Kanan. It is his setup, basically. We don't know nearly as much about Hera, and we'll get to her in a little bit. But Kanan, we know that he was a Jedi. We now know that he's fearful for his life every corner that he turns, and then he's adopted a brand new identity and a brand new attitude: to not get caught, to not have ties, to not have friends. So you're right. Having the most boring job makes sense, but it's just not entirely enjoyable to read about.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about there's administrators and checkpoints and security chiefs and you know, all that kind of stuff. They really went into it, and I get it. I look, at the end of the day, Kanan's a great addition to the Star Wars universe, totally. And I got what they were doing. He's on the run. He's hiding. He's left everything behind. I just thought there was maybe 10 too much of the chapters. Like I got it early on.
Yeah. I feel like maybe because this is first of canon, they have been quite safe, and they've decided to go into Gorse and Cinder. Gorse, let's just recap, is the mud planet, and half of it's permanently in the nighttime, half of it's permanently in the day. The day side, which is completely blasted by the sun, is uninhabitable, but the dark side, people live on it to mine. Cinder also has some of the Thorolide. A boring word. Not sure. But yeah, they've obviously got important minerals, mining, resources, whatever it is, inside both of those that the Emperor wants to excavate to make materials for Star Destroyers. Get that.
Did you say the word the Emperor?
The Empire.
Oh, the Empire or the Emperor? Okay, because one of them appears in this, the other one doesn't.
No, I think you heard his voice maybe from the other room.
Yeah.
A conversation possibly took place that you weren't privy to. Yeah, it was the ultimate dangling carrot, I feel. I think my theory with Cinder and Gorse is that it is boring. It is, what's the word where it's like, it doesn't matter if it's there or not?
I don't know.
Blanking.
Use some Aussie slang.
It's almost irrelevant.
Almost.
Did you read it?
Yeah,
it's almost irrelevant.
There's
it's disposable.
Okay, disposable? Yeah.
It's disposable. Like, this planet, like, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose except that it's a mining planet. So whether it does get blown up or whether it does stay, irrelevant, almost. It doesn't really impact the rest of the universe so much. And I think that's why that was a foundation.
Yeah, there's a bigger plan attached to it, but we don't really even know. That plan's almost a MacGuffin. Yeah,
exactly. So I think because this is canon, they're being safe. They've used a setting that's disposable so that if it does destroy, it doesn't, like I said, doesn't affect the rest of it. But enough happened with it involved that it propels the story for the next chapter. This is all a lot of fluff. This is a lot of filler, no killer, little killer. A lot of people are saying that the first 10 chapters were tough to get into. No one can deny that. Mm-hmm. I just want to know, why is that okay? Why can 10 chapters to get into a book be understandable? I read a lot. You read a lot. We read a lot of books, and 10 chapters of fluff is inexcusable when there's only 50 chapters. That's a fifth of the book. That's irrelevant.
I'm staring right now, because I have the room of a 14-year-old teenage boy. I'm staring right now at all 5 of the Game of Thrones books. I read cover to cover in mere weeks for each book. This one took me since Comic-Con to get through, and the chapters are tremendously short. At the end of each chapter, I was content to put it up on the shelf till tomorrow. Or Game of Thrones,
I had the same thing.
Work.
Yeah, I failed Japanese in high school because I discovered Harry Potter. You know, I totally get the power of an amazing book. This is my first step into the expanded universe. I haven't read any other books. I've got the 3 that you recommended, which aren't canon. I've got Dark Plagueis, which is recommended fiercely by Christian Harloff, and I'm ready to get into that one. I'm excited for it. There it is. I'm also really excited for the next canon books, Tarkin, and also Heir to the Jedi, in the perspective of Luke. I think that's what I'm craving, because these are all brand new characters. They're brand new planets. They're just superfluous, as Logan Hedrich has said. Thank you so much, Logan. Superfluous. What a superb word. I feel this is all, There's no nitty-gritty, deep, dark, enriching intensity.
Yeah, no, that's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. Is look, the author's in a tough spot because I admit I got geeked out when I saw Obi-Wan. I kept hearing about the Emperor in the other room, and I wanted to see him. But it's a tough thing because Miller's job here was to introduce a bunch of new characters that we were going to see a lot of in Rebels, and so he had a hard job, and I really want to make that clear. I think he had a hard job. So how much of is that on me? I'm to blame as a fan, going, just give me Tarkin and Luke and some lightsabers and things. I know.
Yeah, look, this is familiar. I think the fact that this is the very first canon book has a huge chunk to play on this. But, you know, from forming a ragtag bunch, let's look at some of the more recent other, like, television shows and other geek media that's done this. You've got Guardians of the Galaxy. They have a band of ragtags that are fitted together. They had a mission where it brought them all together, and they weren't even necessarily on the same team. You had Groot and Rocket trying to get a payment by having Star-Lord as their bounty. Then you had Gamora, who was trying to kick his ass as well, but then Groot and Rocket got in the way. So they were all against each other, but then they bonded over the common ground. So I liked the fact that it brought them together. This one, Hera had a goal, and everyone kind of just split it into plays. Another example, just to kind of really make a point, is Firefly. You know, they kind of established that they were all together. You had, I want to call him Nathan Fillion, but it's Malcolm Reynolds and Zoe were in the wars together. They didn't quite win. He got a ship. They needed a mechanic. Everyone had their role on the ship. You know, Jane was the beefhead who was like the mercenary that answered to a paycheck. But it had an amazing synergy. I felt that the way that this ragtag was brought together was not effortless or with a lot of purpose behind it.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have Hera Syndulla, who's a Twi'lek or a Twi'lek, depending on your persuasion.
Nathan Button has weighed in on that, and he said Twi'lek or Twi'lek is pronounced, and then it just kind of spelt it, and the E looks a bit weird. He said that was from Wikipedia. They also have an audio file that has a pronunciation, and he's provided the link. What would be really cool is if someone could type the phonetic spelling. Is it Twi with a Y, maybe, or Twee with an EE? That would be epic, because he just said pronounced Twi'lek, or maybe it's Twi'lek. No, we're getting close, though, to an answer. So Hera.
Yeah, you got Hera, and that her last name Syndulla is actually tied to another character of her species, until we figure out how to say it, who appeared in the Clone Wars too. So again, they're tying stuff together, but that's not clear. That the book doesn't come out and say it. You have to look at that online. Hera is an interesting character. It's a strong female lead, which we know is a big linchpin over this past year. It's something that people want, and he delivers. It's a good character, though a little dark and mysterious. Having read the book, I still don't even know her true goal. I gotta remember and cheat and look it up. It wasn't clearly stated.
Yeah.
She just kind of was tracking the main villain, Count Vidian.
Yeah, I think she's trying to, they had in one particular part, they discovered an inn where they could kind of cause a short-term solution, but she didn't feel that that was an appropriate way to do it. She wanted to gather enough evidence to create. I think she's going to be the pioneer for creating a rebel. The rebel within. The rebellion within an entire galaxy. Instead of fixing problems planet to planet and then slowly turning them one by one, she said that's just not going to work, because I guess by the time you fix one, turned one planet, by the time you go to the next one, the Empire's already come in and squashed it again. So yeah, it's that kind of thing where you've got to, like with Jenga, you've got to select the right piece to pull to bring it all crashing down.
Yeah, well, okay, that makes sense. Here, explain that way.
But she's just one person, and you'd think if she was doing this time and time and time again, she would have more allies, more, she would have created a small underground hub of, what is she doing with all this data? Who is she giving it for? Who does she work for? Is she just a solo slinger? All of these kind of things. We see early on with the whole Skelly incident that she's compassionate, and that's pretty cool. Yeah. But you're right, you don't really know. You know the big goal, but you just don't know, what, just not how or why or where or...
Well, you just made me think of something. You just brought up a good point is, I get her goal. She does have something we think maybe to eventually do with the start of the rebellion. Well, I'm cheating a little bit. This is off the book, but you go to the TV show Rebels, which takes place, I believe, roughly 6 years after the team is fully formed. Now you add Zeb into the mix and Chopper, the fartbox robot. But, it's been 6 years and she still hasn't developed this network of rebellion. You know what I mean? They're still just raising funds by stealing stuff.
And it's consuming her life. Like, it is consuming her life to the point where she cannot have other little dalliances. And Noah and I are on the same page. Kanan and Hera need to get it on. But even if she's just like, oh, I don't want to, we can't go to that particular spectrum of the galaxy because I've got an X there and I just, something. Yeah. It's all consuming, and it doesn't seem like she's got anything happening, and this has been years and years. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, she's a bit of a cold fish. I get it. I respect her as a character having goals. I have a bad romance life because I'm focused on my career. I get it. But it was just a bit too cold. They had their little moments. They had their little flirtations, and he's kind of this rogue playboy drinking.
She was saying as well, she's like, I can see that he likes me, and I'm okay with that. And I'm like, have some, Java juice and
have some blue milk and get it going. Well, yeah, but here, let me ask you this question though, and I'm asking seriousness. In all seriousness, he made that choice to not make this about her needing Kanan in any kind of romantic fashion, at least at this point. That's a good choice and a brave choice going against type though with women in sci-fi though. Are you a little happy with that decision from one point of view, or did you just want some banging?
I think it's actually more powerful almost for a woman to be like, I would like to bang your brains out because this is what I want, not because I need to satisfy you, not because I only have a purpose to be yours and it's a possession thing. I think that it's like, I think that if Hera met him, and I mean, she only kind of got on heat when she found out he's a Jedi, but if she kind of looked at him a certain way, and they were at the asteroid belt, which is the bar there, and he gave her a drink, and he gave her a wink, and she just went, why not? He's cute. Fair. That'd be great. And then they run into each other, like, again afterwards, but instead he's just hypnotized by her voice.
Right.
I think it could have been just like a sneaky little patch on the side of a bar before she was like, oh, that's what I needed. Thanks. All right, bye. And he's like, what? I think that, basing it on a kiss would be more powerful. Just something than her voice is sweet.
And that's really a great answer. That's a great answer. I appreciate that honest answer. I get what you're saying. It's far too often it either has to be the man's winning a prize, or in this situation she's maybe more of a cold fish. And I agree with what you're saying, that maybe she wanted herself a prize. So okay, I asked an answer. Good answer. And
she doesn't get bogged down by a relationship.
Yeah.
And I reckon if she sets the standard and she lays down the rules, it's like, right, if this happens, I don't want to hear you moaning and bitching if it doesn't happen again. It can't be weird. This is you and I as two consenting adults getting it out of our system, and now we've got a job to do. And he can be pining after it, but if she's like, no, I got what I needed, I don't know. That's just me being...
She just wants a quick route and move on with it. Yeah, I get it.
Hey! Nice.
Taking my notes.
Route. So obviously this is all about Kanan and Hera, their sort of relationship that's getting more than myself frustrated. We know where they stand with each other. So they've teamed up, her reluctantly, so she's always trying to boot him because she's a solo artist, but he's kind of like, no, but I always have no friends, and it's me that never wants to tag along with someone. I'm the solo artist. It's like, all right, guys, just whatever. The back and forth between that was a little bit shady, but then they expand the team. I can't even remember. He gets in a brawl, and she's there, and she can hold her own, and he's attracted to that, and then she buggers off, and then what?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. That's the problem. There's someone put on our Jedi Alliance comment section this past week on the YouTube channel Schmoes No Podcast. They said that the characters are just kind of running around in circles, and so what you're describing, without the plot written out in front of me, I kind of can't remember some moments. It's like, yeah, they met up, they separated, they met up, they talked about things, and oh, this Count Vidian guy, he seems kind of bad, and Skelly was grumpy and wanted to blow stuff up. And a little sexual tension, and then repeat until the story gets going late into the chapters.
Yeah, and I noticed there was like one part, I get the, Christian was saying Obadiah, and it's not. It's Odeka?
Yeah. It's Okadiah, right? It's got a K in it.
Yeah, it's got a K in it. I know. He's like Obadiah. I'm like, there's a K in there somewhere. I liked his role. I thought he was a great character. I loved that mentor relationship where Okadiah. All right. So Okadiah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Okadiah is really kind of forgiving and relaxed about Kanan's attitude. You know, he gets it. And I think that that's a big prevalent theme that we're going to be seeing. Okadiah sees himself in Kanan. Fast forward to Rebels, Kanan sees himself in Ezra. You know, everyone's the rebel without a cause, in a way.
Yeah.
And that's relatable. But at one stage when Okadiah's on Cinder and it's about to be blown up, they do this full-on dangerous recon mission to save him. They can't. And then they've got to get back off the planet, and then they're kind of back to where they were. And I was like, it's like, they're just like, boo, 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 now we'll go here, there, what? Yeah. It's kind of
running around in circles. That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the rest of the team, Skelly, the character of Skelly, I said I found a little bit frustrating. He was just so relentlessly picked on. And it's like, you know, the first sort of chapter that you find him, he's like, no one listens to me, no one listens to me. And Hera kind of finally listens to him, and then she's like, ugh, you know, he's just in the way anyway. But he was like, I don't know, just so beaten and bruised and picked on and left behind, and he was also superfluous and disposable. But what did you think of Skelly?
Yeah.
What did everyone think of Skelly?
You know, I liked some of the Skelly character because it was kind of this. He had fought in the Clone Wars, so he kind of comes off as this grizzled Vietnam veteran type. In my head, I pictured him like the dude from Big Lebowski with a little Walter Sobchak anger thrown in. He'd worked on the mining colony. He's got all these little explosives with him all the time. He does some damage, but he's running around. He like tries to kill the main villain in one scene, and then next he's trying to get to him to like talk to him and make him realize his plot or something. It was to me uneven, and again he kind of has a Randy Quaid save the day moment. But the character, I couldn't tell you much about him other than he was kind of grizzled and liked to blow stuff up.
Did anyone mourn him?
You know,
they almost relieved that he just took care of himself.
Yeah, I think they were. They were sad but happy. I mean, it was kind of one of those, you know, where at the end of Jedi. Yeah, at the end of Jedi, it's like, do you think Luke was on that thing? No, he wasn't. This one's like, you think Skelly was on it? Yep.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a shame.
All right. You want to get some food?
What's next? Yeah. The Celestian, though, is that what she is? What's her name again?
Yeah.
I'm trying to load everyone's comments up from our Facebook page too, and that's just not...
Zaluna.
Zaluna! Now, apart from the fact that she's Celestian...
Yeah. Which is your favorite character, Neenum. That's his species.
Neenum just annoyed me, but I didn't mind Zaluna.
Right. Because she wasn't laughing.
I thought that... No, she kind of had... She was a little bit of paranoid... You know, poppet. Paranoid poppet sort of mean, but she kind of held her own a couple of times. And she kind of had like a few witty, quick comebacks. And I was like, yeah, I respect that. I think it is fascinating though that there is a surveillance system that the Empire has tapped into, and she'd noticed in her 25 years of being in that job that it had slowly changed. And it's that kind of thing where it's like you think you're working for the good guy, but who's the good guy?
It's no like Padme
when her colleague. Oh yeah, but exactly. In Revenge of the Sith. But I wonder who. If the bad guy's really us.
I truly, deeply wonder. Maybe we're working for the bad guy. I liked Zaluna though.
She was so good.
Zaluna was kind of a fun little character. You got it right. Paranoid little poppet. I mean, running around, doing her job, and she still, even at the end, was like, "Oh, I'm not going to get my job back if I do this. I'm not going to get my job back." No, you're going to start a rebellion.
Your job back, remember? Yeah. But I liked, and I kind of actually, because I'm trying to make my own Star Wars RPG character, and I'm like, what aspects really, really help in the day-to-day? Her strengths with splicing computers and tapping into surveillance, like that was really helpful. She was an asset.
Yeah. And again, that's where I'll give John Jackson Miller some credit where credit's deserved. He didn't throw in the normal characters. We got Kanan, which is kind of Han Solo-like, but he threw in some different characters from different species that we didn't see in the forefront in all the other movies and properties, and you got a Celestian kind of run around making big damage here on the Empire early on. I did like that aspect of it.
So something that we haven't spoken about yet, which I think we should tap into, and we're 20 minutes in, so we've kind of got the last 10-minute stretch to hit a home run. Vidian, our bad guy. Now, a few people are a little bit perturbed by the fact that he has just been completely plastic surgeried and enhanced. I think the fact that he's mostly cyborg is a great makeup for what the arch nemesis, your evil person to be. He had absolutely no sympathy. He had no empathy. He had no respect for life. He is like, I have to get a job done by whatever means necessary. He had the I'm not here to make friends approach. He was very strategic. But then it's almost like he saw that a human was weak, and he completely altered himself to become more powerful. Why remember things when you can record them and store them? If someone's trying to say, oh, I'm just going to give you update reports, he's like, I've already downloaded them and accessed them. He's always one step ahead, and I kind of liked that he was willing to completely sacrifice who he was and start his life again to become, in his eyes, the most perfect and powerful being. That's cool.
Yeah, what I liked about Count Vidian is the character unwinds, or you start to learn more about him. First, he's kind of a comical, over-the-top bad guy to me, which isn't necessarily bad. That was the design. He's kind of this, I'm scary and I do scary things. And you kind of find out he was like, again, like a worker. He was like a compliance type of guy. He'd go around and check to make sure your mining colony was doing things right, and he was the only one with integrity, and he started seeing other people getting ahead and bad things happening. Then he gets this disease that he's going to die, and so he suddenly flips a switch and becomes this evil, calculating, smart, almost Game of Thrones-like chess player. So I like that.
He's Tywin. He's so Tywin Lannister. He thinks that he's always one step ahead. He's cold, he's brutal, he's empty, and he's going to die on a toilet.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Where whores go. I like that, but it took a while, again, to overcome. Again, I didn't have a problem with him being over the top, but when he starts, his internal monologue starts getting a little different and deeper later on, then I started to get on board with the character. Before, I thought he just was this plastic surgeon version of General Grievous.
Yeah, and I never really liked General Grievous as a character, but that's another bone to pick. So I guess all in all, we've got Vidian is our main guy. That was okay. The relationship between her and Kanan's pretty cool. Those two characters in itself, excited to see where it goes. I'm opening it up to the comment section. Noah says, he also says that he would love to expand on Kanan's master, whatever his name is. It's actually a her. Billaba is a woman.
Yeah.
Billaba? Yeah. And I think that would be really, really cool. And the fact that she's still called master, not mistress. That's cool too. Eric Berrios says, Skelly went out like a badass. Yes, Eric. Skelly did go out like a badass. And unfortunately, no one cared. It's that thing where it's like, Skelly killed himself to save us. Cool.
It was Randy Quaid at the end of Independence Day where he's like, I'm going up there, and they're like, well, good, the crazy guy did that. Were you ready to go get a burger? Let's do it. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of that. But yeah, Skelly went out like he should have, because he was the disposable character.
And because he was the demolitions expert. If you're going to get someone that knows how to set off a bomb, then that person has to be the one to set off the ultimate bomb. And it has to be done manually. Army Guns 89, hey there, she says, Hera is a character focused on fighting the Empire, though. She knows she knows that Kanan likes her, and maybe that's enough for the both of them. She says that all that matters to me is that they care for each other. I do agree.
Yeah.
Totally, she does. They care for each other, and I think that's definitely enough for Hera. I think Kanan's just going to have to excuse himself and go to the bathroom every now and then. But yeah, there's more to them and what they have to offer than a hanky pank. This is just me thinking that maybe.
I just want to find what happens between now and 6 years between when Rebels starts. Those 6 years, there had to be some moments, right? You think? A little late night on the Starship Ghost. Yeah.
I'm telling you, they jumped from bar to bar. That's the other thing. The asteroid belt was a really great central location. I just feel like that's where he worked. He would use the hover bus to get miners there and back, and from night to morning. He knew many of the patrons. They only had last year, and Zaluna, was trying to meet up with Hera, but that could have been another hub, another setting where a lot of the good stuff happened.
Yeah.
Eric has said, remember when Okadiah says to her right before he dies that he needs her, or something like that. So apart from not knowing her origins, her job now is to keep Kanan's head cool and on the right path. Right, so Okadiah's death was the catalyst of making sure that she would stop running off alone and that she would actually take responsibility in Kanan's well-being in the next phase of his life, I guess. It's a good point.
I mean, it doesn't waste Okadiah's death then, and again, he's a mentor character for Kanan. That means he's going to go if you follow Joseph Campbell epic logic. So yeah, that's a good moment. I get that. That's a good point.
Efren Guzman has said Peter Capaldi looks a lot like Tarkin. I can see him playing Tarkin. Absolutely, it's not a bad point at all. He's too busy being the Doctor right now, but there you go. Eric has said, I say Tawillick. Tawillick.
I think the jury's still out in my mind.
Tawillick. Logan has weighed in, and this is the time to put in your reviews right now, guys. Write a sentence, sum it up, rate it out of 5. We'll do the same thing. Logan has said, unfortunately, I'll probably be skipping this book. Just too much other good universe stuff. Too much good stuff out there to catch up on, both in the Star Wars universe and otherwise, to waste time on a meh canon book.
I still say give it a go, Logan. I still say give it a go. There's stuff you're going to want to know.
Jake has said that Heir to the Jedi is already an instant buy for me, but if they get Mark Hamill for the audiobook, I will die of geekgasms. You know what, Jake? Dying of geekgasms is probably the best way to go if you were to go. So, come on, Mark Hamill, get that audiobook. And Eric says, did you guys read the Tarkin excerpt at the end of New Dawn? I know, because I didn't want to do it straight after reading A New Dawn. I wanted to do it a week after I digested it, and I can come back with fresh eyes and a full heart. So I will absolutely get to that. What about you? Ken-Obi?
I did. Actually, I should say I started to read it, and I backed off a little bit because I never read excerpts from books. I just wanted to kind of get a feel, maybe a hope that this one would be a little more to my liking. It was good. It was definitely not bad. And it's written by James Luceno, who, of course,
Darth
wrote
Plagueis, yeah.
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
We should really do our own readings of this as well. Someone, they made a very good point, and I should have read it out. I had a giggle as soon as it came up in the feed. There, Logan. How long until we start screaming out Star Wars sounds? Looking at you, Maude. Yeah, that's gonna happen. According to Noah, Skelly is his role model, and he also says that Cyborg Joan Rivers villain, lame villain hashtag. Kyle says a regular guy goes evil due to a terminal disease. The Imperial version of Walter White. Wow. Okay. That's kind of an interesting analogy.
Yeah. Vidian's a good character. I like Vidian. I wouldn't mind seeing more of him.
Well, that's the thing with villain deaths. Are they really ever dead? Jake Rattlehead Robertson has said perhaps Rebels could flashback to events preceding, during, or directly succeeding A New Dawn. Jake, I think that's an amazing thing to say. There is so much room to visit back. And now that we know that Episode 7 has a flashback theme, this is something that they may be able to rely on because they've made so much of the universe, scrapped it, building a new foundation, and then they can constantly go back to now actual events. That's just so clumsy, isn't it? Noah said that we're going to have a lot of limitations with Hera and Kanan since it's on Disney XD, which is why I think it needed to get out of their system in the book because the kids aren't going to read that. Noah says Twi'lek. Ralphie Grullen says the description of villain sounds like he is Walter White from Breaking Bad. Wow, a couple of people saying that one. While you get your reviews in, Ken, I'm going to throw it over to you. Overall, we've given this book a good half-hour chat. We've spoken about the ways that it was safe and that it kind of didn't hit to the hard-hitting stuff, but other people have shone light on that, saying that it doesn't need to. This is the first book. This is the very first pavement from a long road that we're about to walk down. But I want to hear it from you. What is your review?
I think you said two key words that I'm going to echo, which is safe and slow. However, I still overall recommend this book because if you're a Star Wars fan diving into new canon, it is important going forward in the universe, and I'm okay with the slow build, all right? Again, I've read all the Game of Thrones books. Song of Ice and Fire is sometimes very slow. I was always captivated with every chapter. Here I wasn't. But again, I don't know what the author was given to work with, and and again, there's some great moments. And as a Star Wars fan, there's some things I enjoyed. I would have liked to see the Emperor. I don't need to see Darth Vader, or there's something. Give me a little something. I don't want a cheesy run into Han Solo moment or anything like that. I don't need that. Just tie it a little more directly to the universe I love. But overall, the ending, the last few chapters do read like a good Star Wars story, and I'm excited to see going forward with the whole canon series of novels. Again, slow and safe kind of captures it for me. Maybe read it a little slow. Put it number 2 on your depth chart of books.
Out of 5?
I would say a solid 3.
Cool.
I'm falling.
If you are setting yourself up for Rebels, I say that this is a must-read book because you do get a glimpse into who Caleb Dune is. And I think that's very, very important. And because there is a lot more to grow there, you wouldn't want to miss that if they do decide to explore it further. The dynamic between Hera and Kanan, I can't imagine watching Rebels now not having known this entire book or what how they first met. I think that origin story always provides a great depth. Don't ever talk to me about mining again. I think that resources, yes, are important. I've played enough video games to understand that you need particular resources to build up a foundation, but a whole book about it is not great. But yeah, just for the sake of Kanan and Hera, I'm excited that they're teaming up, that we're going to see a lot more of them. So read the book just to get in that. I'm going to say it's 2.5 stars. I do give it a solid average. I think it was an average book. It had great things that are definitely worth not missing out on. But as far as a front to back book goes, irrelevant of Star Wars, irrelevant of how much of a fan you are, the actual story and what you did and how you're invested, it is a 2.5 from me. And yes, the first 10 chapters was a sedative. I would read a page and I would be out cold. A few of the quick comments that had happened on our Jedi Alliance Facebook page, and if you haven't given it a like, do it, because we go there every week with versus challenges for you with Duel of the Fates. A lot of fun stuff goes up there, and be a part of the community that we love to be building with you. Roman was not a big fan. He hadn't finished it by this stage, but he said it was very slow. He said a few big positives about the book was the dialogue between the characters. It's very precise and fun to read. He said the brightest spot of the book so far, hands down, is the characters. He's never enjoyed something like this in the same book for so long. He said Count Vidian was excellent, and he was a very well thought out villain. Hopefully we can see him on a screen adaptation one day. Cobb just says yes. Chris said he's halfway through the audiobook and that it was great so far. Lewis said it was an awesome read. It had a lot of episode 4 vibe on it, but a really great introduction to the new Star Wars era. Gregory liked it. He really liked it, and he said it was a great way to get to know Kanan and Hera. He said the chapters being so short really helped move things along when it wasn't very action heavy. Diamond Rattler said the book was dope. Curtis says you've got to take apart the opponents, that's it. Danielle and Pierre Bubbo said they loved it. It takes a bit to get going, but it was a great glimpse of Kanan and Hera and how they found each other, and Lord Vidian. Now that is the villain, and it takes a more hot and sweaty Tarkin coming out next month. Matthew says it's a little slow but good. Aaron, hard to get through. Pablo said already ordered it. It's going to take a month to arrive. Sorry, buddy. So it's the same kind of back and forth. I was saying to Ken before we started, the way that I've split up the people that have been reading the book, you've got 2 of them. And if you jump onto Goodreads, you can read all the reviews that are up there. On average, it's gotten a 4.04 out of 5. A 4 out of 5. That is so solid. But you go through the comments and you just have die-hard Star Wars fans that just love the fact that there's a new universe that's canon and they are worshipping it. And then you have the people more like Ken and myself where it's like, it was just a little slow and I fell asleep. Like that, they're direct quotes from people. So there you go. I've got a bunch of different reviews coming through. Yeah. Noah, 3 out of 5. And Blaine says he's reading Legacy of the Force series at the moment. It's not canon, but the Solo kids. Oh my God, so great. That's everything. We've got it through it all.
That's good. You know, you made a great point. I didn't think about it. If there wasn't the name Star Wars attached to this at all, I would have put this book down. Wouldn't have powered through to finish it. I didn't know there was something coming later on that had lightsabers. But
because it is, that is the only reason why you should. Oh, we didn't even get into the fact that Kanan didn't even turn on his lightsaber. Is the fact that you know it's there enough?
Yeah.
Just don't freaking have it on in the page of the book. That is false advertising. That is on.
Yeah, you were really upset at that. I'd be more upset if I didn't know how it paid off in the first episode of Rebels or the Spark of Rebellion movie that started the series. That was a cool moment for me. But at the same time, yeah, the whole book, you're waiting. Oh, no.
Oh, dear. Well, there are our thoughts. We are 2 mere mortals, so really take what we say with a grain of salt. If you do want to add in your own opinions and you weren't watching this live, feel free to comment. I'll be seeing all these comments as well, so I'm happy to chat with anyone who'll talk to me about it all. This has been Geek Bomb, and Ken, you have to say that the bomb has been dropped.
The bomb has been dropped.
Woohoo! Thanks, guys. See ya.